I thought up this morning some images that might hopefully inspire over the next 2 days. I can't wait to see what comes out of all of the work you're doing. Yeah, that was a great introduction. Normally I talk a little bit about me, but actually that's kind of enough. I think that we have so many issues with getting women into STEM. The first one normally starts with just getting the skills. So how are we meant to get skills as young girls when we're told we're the social butterflies, but the boys are the little scholars? Then we have issues when we're trying to actually get the job. So here you can see DICE connects hot talent with leading employers in the UK. And this is what a front-end developer, if you can't see that, it actually says front-end developer looks like. And then what if we do get into tech, then there's a lot of box ticking to get women into tech at the moment, but how do you actually then get included, properly included, rather than just in the office? And then how do we get paid the same? I mean, I mean, it's quite ridiculous that we still have the gender pay gap that we do. Once you're there, how do we stop the guilt? How do we get over the guilt that we all have when you've got adverts telling you to get back to your real job, which apparently is cleaning a window with your daughter? Unfathomable. And then how do you make sure you're treated fairly if you get over the guilt, which I don't think you ever do. How do you then make sure you're getting treated fairly and not getting treated sexualized? So this is an advert from last year about, and it says here, because oral is better. Play music and video in just seconds. Voice-enabled control app. I don't need to show you what this is. So if we're not getting sexualized, we are often getting sexually harassed. I'm going to read this one. Don't feel bad. Our servers won't go down on you either. This is an actual advert. I won't read the rest, but I mean, it's quite ridiculous. And these are all things that I hope over the next 2 days you guys can spend some time tackling. And I'm sure you have lots of ideas of your own. But I wanted to talk today a little bit about getting the products to work for you. So how, when this is what's going on, could we even hope that the products that we have work for us, being women and those who identify as women? So I've got a few case studies of where products haven't worked for women. So this is in the 60s, where women were dying more in car crashes, and it wasn't because women were bad drivers, which some people would like to make you believe. It was because the cars weren't built for women in crashes. So whether it was the airbags or it was the way that the headrest was, the product just seriously wasn't built for women, and that resulted in death. The more recent products, like the iWatch, I'm sure you've all read, or if you haven't, there's a brilliant article with Fei Li and Michelle Gates about the fact that we have this iPhone that we wear on our wrists, and it tracks everything. It now even tracks your heart rate. It's now even FDA regulated, and yet it never really anyone ever put their hands up and said maybe it could track the most important thing to women, are menstrual cycles. And when you start thinking about that, you're kind of like, that's weird, that's really shocking. But even more shocking is that it took until 2006 to have emojis that weren't just of princesses, hairdressers, and brides. So no wonder they weren't thinking, like, oh, maybe we should track menstrual cycles. So this kind of oversight is pernicious as well as just really dumb. Good news is now Jess has her own emoji. And at that, I mean, that's progress, if nothing else. And so if you think about all of these oversights and conscious and unconscious bias that we are up against every day, this is only going to get exacerbated by artificial intelligence. So this is what I spend my life talking about. As you said before, I have a company that helps other businesses understand artificial intelligence. We also advise governments. I'm actually the new chair for the UK government's AI Council. So we are at every day it's a watershed moment, literally, where we're trying to make decisions on what products, what policies, and really understanding artificial intelligence is pretty tough. This is my slide of who understands artificial artificial intelligence. Basically, I think we're all very confused. It's my full-time job and I'm confused. But what I wanted to talk a little bit more about today was not the kind of AI of the movies, but more the AI that is touching our everyday lives. This was my favorite example because it was the first time I really understood AI was when I think about how Facebook categorizes my face on Facebook immediately, using AI now that it has so many images of us. And AI is very sensitive. So if you showed AI all the adverts I showed you earlier, you can imagine what would happen. This is an image of how a baby thinks, and some people think it's a very bad way to describe artificial intelligence. I personally just like it because it makes sense. It's not technically accurate, but the idea that an AI is learning from its experiences is a good way for us to worry about what experiences an AI has. And really those different factors are, simply put, threefold in my eyes. So it's who's coding these machines, it's the data that's fed to the algorithms and the AI, and the goals that are set. And so we find ourselves in a situation whereby if we have data that is all one homogeneous set of data, for example, all dogs are black and all cats are white, it's quite obvious that when we use some AI and show it a white dog, it clearly thinks it's a cat. That's really not the end of the world, but what probably is the end of the world is when that AI then doesn't recognize a black face. And I'm sure you've all seen this, but I just feel like it's worth me sharing again before the next 2 days, because this is the stuff that we are up against. In the same way that the car was killing people, what if we trained AI algorithms on male heart attack symptoms rather than women's? Maybe women would die more of heart attacks. They're not completely different, but there are 3 very different symptoms that you might completely miss if you were building a product just thinking about the data sets from men. And what if you set the wrong goal? So we now see AI in HR and recruitment a lot. I'm actually an advocate for using AI in HR as long as we get this right. And you say, okay, go and find me some new talent across the web, just like the talent I've got now. And all the talent looks like this. We're going to get loads more of these. And these kind of male rock stars are going to be the future of your company. And effectively what you thought was a neutral thing, an AI algorithm, ended up being not so neutral. We can talk about that later. So then we think about who's in the room. So if the data's confusing, the goals are set wrong, but actually one of the quick things to think about is just who is there when this is being done? Because if we're brave and we are in the room, there's an opportunity for us to put our hands up and say, that's fucked up. And the challenge we have there is when you type into Google man and machine, these are the images you get. And I really love them. Like it's sort of, man and machine together, man and machine sort of in a battle, playing chess together. This is the best, Michelangelo-esque man and machine. But then when you have man and machine as a woman, I think you've got a washing machine, a gun, and I'm not joking. Like I didn't edit this. This is literally just the first set. Luckily, apparently, there's a new band called Women and Machine, so some of those images come up, thankfully. But we're not getting enough women into the room. It's 13% of AI engineers, from the data that I've seen, are female, and so we are. I don't know, I'm in a filter bubble, to be honest. I think there's so many women in AI. Apparently, it's just not the case. And it's a scary time for us, because really, what are we doing, and what are these robots doing, effectively? I love this slide. So we've got to make sure that while you're building your ideas and products, and you're telling people about the things that you're all doing, that the right people in the room, the right data's collected, and the right goals are set. So we get rid of bias, we make sure we control our data, we have a good look at ourselves, and ultimately it's about man, woman, and machine. So this slide I had to doctor, so I had to add a man. I found this awesome robot and a woman, and a lot of people talk about this kind of this time now that we're facing where it's going to be man versus machine, and I really think it needs to be man, woman, and machine. And so that's kind of what I wanted to leave you with as you all think about the next 2 days. And one last story, and I'm sure have everyone seen Hidden Figures? Yeah, everyone has. So one of the things that I love about Hidden Figures is, and I talk about Hidden Figures quite a lot, from to school kids and to sort of people who don't nod, because you guys have all seen this and this is all your thing. And the reason why I talk about it is actually Dorothy Vaughan is, I think, probably the best character that was ever created in the world, because she sat there and said, I can see my job is changing, I can see the world is changing, and I'm going to go to the library, even though that's tough, and I'm going to learn Fortran, even though that's tough, and then I'm going to not just become good myself. And this is the bit I love so much. She then went back, and you all know the story, trained the calculators and the mathematicians, and they then became core to the future of the NASA space program. The bit that I love the most, and I think this is what you all are, effectively, you are all the Dorothy Vaughans. You can be whichever character you want, but today, you're the Dorothy Vaughans, because you're actually saying, okay, I've noticed something, the world is changing, it's not equal, it's not fair, and you're now trying over the next 2 days, and probably in your day-to-day life anyway, to change that, and that's really admirable, and yeah, I love that that's happening, and I can't wait to see what you all do, and good luck, congratulations. Let me know if I can help with anything. My email address is pretty easy to find. It's just Tabitha@CognitionX, or tweet at me or whatever. But thank you for doing what you're doing. I wish I could stay all day, but I can't. Thank you so much.